Hello guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Explosive Cats. Today I'm really just making a different type of video. I just thought I'd make this about a week ago. Never really got to it. But I did want to make a review of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, since Uncharted is really one of the games that I've loved for pretty much forever, ever since I played it. But, I don't know, I've had about a week or so to think about what I want to put in it. I've played through it once, and I've played through other parts multiple times. I mean, I'm obviously going to play through it like 12 times, most likely. Haven't really gotten to it, though, just because school just started, and I don't have a lot of time to really do these kind of things. But yeah, I really just want to take more time than like 2 days to make a review over it, but I think I have everything I need to really make a review. Now, the first thing that pretty much, you would play an Uncharted game for is the story. Now, I mean, most people kind of assumed that the story not being about Nathan Drake or, the regular Uncharted characters from the first 5 Uncharteds, including, the Golden Abyss or whatever. A lot of people assume that it would really be kind of like a different story, but to be honest, it really is kind of that average Uncharted adventure, without, all the dark stuff that's in other movies or games or whatever. It's very much an Uncharted game. And just because the characters are different, it doesn't really change much of, like, what Uncharted is, at least for The Lost Legacy. But, I mean, overall, the story really wasn't what I expected. I mean, it kind of is, but at the same time, it really just did everything that I thought it would do a lot better than I really expected it to. Now, I mean, the story isn't without its flaws. There are moments that really, I guess, just try to go deeper than it should. Most of the moments kind of dealing with Chloe's dad and how she's kind of like taken on his legacy in a way. I won't spoil too much of it. I mean, if you want to hear about all that, you need to buy the game because it's absolutely amazing. But really, those are the only parts of the story that kind of feel out of place because, I mean, as you know, Chloe was really only in Uncharted 2 and 3 and then in this game. But you never really heard anything about, like, her backstory. And, I mean, it goes over her backstory, which, I mean, has good parts to it. But just the parts with her father and some of them just dealing with her past and those sort of things just feel a little bit out of place. But at the same time, there are moments like that that are also really good. And it's really hard to explain. Like, it's really only understandable if you play through it or watch through like a walkthrough or something, but I don't really know how to put my finger on it. There's just something about it where it kind of goes back and forth between really good story moments and not necessarily bad story moments, but moments that are just feel very slightly out of place. And on the topic of story, there are, I would say, like 2, I guess, main twists to the game. One of which being absolutely amazing, something that I guess you could kind of like predict would happen, but you wouldn't really believe it until you played it, if that makes sense. It's something that you would say, oh yeah, that's gonna happen, but you aren't really serious about it. It's a really good twist. It's one of those moments that I just wasn't expecting at all, and really did just take me by surprise. And the other twist, I don't know if I would really call it a twist. Comes at the very end, and if you've played through it already, I think you know what I mean. It doesn't really feel, I guess, out of place. It's just whenever you think about it, it seems kind of cliche. But, I mean, it doesn't really take away from the game. It's just after a couple of seconds of really thinking about it, and not really laughing about it, but just taking a second to understand what's really going on, you're just right back into the action, fighting off bad guys and being the adventurer that you are. But, I mean, the story itself, it didn't disappoint me at all. It was way better than I expected, to be honest, and it's not really like a standout or kind of like weird one of the bunch kind of Uncharted stories that I guess you could say the Golden Abyss was. But, I mean, overall, it's a really good story, and nothing really disappointed me about it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about also kind of has to do with the story, but the characters. Chloe, as always, she kind of doesn't really seem different. I mean, she very much is the Chloe that you remember from Uncharted 2 and 3, but with this game taking place later with different characters, like side characters, I guess, it kind of like, it fits perfectly with how you would kind of expect her to deal with things and kind of to have changed, which she doesn't really change at all, to be honest. But I don't know, it's just, to be honest, nothing really was weird about it. Chloe's, I don't know, she's awesome. But Nadine, as always, she's pretty much the same as Uncharted 4. Over the course of the game, she does get to know Chloe more, and they become friends. And the good thing, though, that I really liked, that I didn't expect too much either, was it's not really over the course of the game very much. They start out as enemies, and then slowly get to be friends. It kind of starts out as not really enemies, but kind of like disliking each other as partners, to kind of getting better, and then kind of getting apart again. And it's not this long sort of string of events that lead them to one thing. It kind of goes back and forth in a way that was, to be honest, pretty amazing, that you don't really see it anywhere else. And there is a character that does come up. I won't spoil who it is. If you've seen pictures on the internet, if you've like Googled Uncharted Lost Legacy, you've probably seen it already. But some of the characters, one specifically, not really multiple, but one specifically, who I won't spoil because it kind of spoils a lot of the stuff about the game, sometimes just seemed a little off. And not because they were dumb or just made stupid decisions, but because they were in a previous Uncharted game. I won't spoil it. But just some of the decisions, not decisions, but like some of the stuff that they said wasn't bad or anything. It just didn't really match what they were in the other Uncharted games. It just kind of seemed a little funky. It didn't really take too much away from the experience, but some of it was, I guess, just kind of weird. And it kind of like gave you that weird kind of like cliche good guy stands up to do the right thing, and not the bad guy, but the other person is like, nah, don't do that. Kind of like that, but I mean, it feels sort of in place, Uncharted The Lost Legacy being the game that it is, but just overall as an Uncharted game with that specific character doesn't really make sense. But overall, the characters are absolutely amazing. And Asav, which I'll talk about a little more later, to be honest, probably he's tied with Rafe, but I don't know, I'll talk about him more later. Now, the gameplay and combat, same as Uncharted 4, like the same engine and everything. But, I don't know, it just feels a lot more, I don't know if I would say better, but it feels more in place in Uncharted The Lost Legacy. Because in Uncharted 4, Nathan Drake is supposed to be this guy who's kind of coming out of retirement. Not necessarily old, but kind of getting up there. But in the game, he still kind of jumps around all over the place, beating people up, shooting people. I mean, Uncharted 4 did a good job at making Nathan Drake kind of seem like an older guy now. But Uncharted Lost Legacy very much kind of brings back the Uncharted 1 and 2, and I guess 3, where you're just kind of hopping around, punching people, that very adventure-y type of combat and traversal. And it's the exact same as Uncharted 4. It just fits in a little bit more with the characters and the story. I don't know if that really makes sense. But if you play through it, and you've played through all the Uncharted games, it kind of makes sense. But overall, I mean, it's still very, very fun. Didn't disappoint me, even though it's pretty much the same gameplay as Uncharted 4. And the graphics and environments, absolutely beautiful. Now, the graphics overall, probably equal to Uncharted 4, texture-wise, and from a technical standpoint, probably equal. I don't know if I'd say Uncharted The Lost Legacy is really better, but just the environments themselves, kind of being in India, this is kind of a personal preference, but Uncharted 4 always looked the best whenever it was on the island with all the jungle and vegetation. Uncharted The Lost Legacy is literally that everywhere. It is it looks so amazing that even after playing Uncharted 4 before I played The Lost Legacy, I was like, dang, this looks good. And it surprised me quite a bit, to be honest. And the pacing, kind of along with the story also, it picks up a lot, going towards the end. The beginning isn't really slow. It kind of starts off fast. But there is this, as they said, the biggest Uncharted level ever. Really did what I didn't expect it to, but was kind of like I would like that in other Uncharted games. It's kind of like the Madagascar level from Uncharted 4, but you do a lot of backtracking through it throughout the story, and there's lots of, you know, treasures and everything to collect. And there's even this sort of side objective where you can collect these Hoysala tokens, and once you collect all 11 of them, you can take them back to this really secluded area of the big open level and put them into this thing, and I won't go on and on about that, but it took me about an hour and a half to do that weird side objective, but it was really fun, you know, collecting all the tokens. But you spend probably a good third of the game in the one level, and now whenever you kind of say that, it sounds like, I don't know if I really like that, but the level itself, a lot of different stuff goes on in it, so it doesn't really feel too slow. You know, you get to explore a lot, which is really nice. But then once you get past that level, it really just picks up very quickly, and it doesn't really stop until the very end, which I really liked. There weren't really any parts that were too slow. It was very well paced, I will say that. Whereas Uncharted 4 was really kind of too slow at the beginning. It did pick up in the end, but it was a little slow. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy really isn't like that. It doesn't have, I would say, any dull moments. It was really, really well done. And the villain, Asav, as I was saying, I think the thing that had always been missing from, like, Uncharted villains was really, like, that, not evilness, but, like, that kind of, like, fear that you would have of them. Like, Rafe, they did a good job with Rafe, but he did kind of seem like that guy that was just like, Nathan, I don't like you. And then the other Uncharted games, they had their different styles of villains, which I really liked. Like, Uncharted 1 had, like, the classic, 80s type action movie villains, which really fit with the game. And all the Uncharted villains have always, like, fit in the game. But Asav really is kind of like that one guy that seems really just like a bad guy. Like, he's just this really big dude who wants to kill everyone. And he's really intimidating. And he's probably equal with Rafe as to who my favorite villain is. But a lot of people were saying he didn't have enough screen time. I can kind of agree with that, but he was still a very good villain in my opinion, and what you saw of him at least was very good. And the set pieces also, I won't spoil them because they're absolutely amazing. The one at the very, very end of the game is kind of like cliche, I would say, whenever like you would say it, but in Uncharted it fits perfectly, and it is the most, it's probably equal with the plain set piece from Uncharted, or not 4, Uncharted 3. It is absolutely amazing, and I was just like, the whole time. It was awesome. And Uncharted without Nathan Drake, a lot of people were saying, whenever, they were like, oh yeah, it's going to be about Chloe and that. A lot of people were like, I don't know if Uncharted would really work without Nathan Drake, because Uncharted has always been, Nathan Drake as the main character. It's kind of like, I didn't expect it to work as well as I thought it would, but Uncharted with, Chloe and Nadine, it really did feel like Uncharted. It didn't really feel out of place not playing as Nathan Drake. And it leaves the series at the very end of the game, where like it could continue on with Chloe and Nadine. I won't spoil too much about that either. It leaves it off where it could go more with them. And to be honest, if they made another Uncharted game with Chloe and Nadine as partners, or Chloe and someone else, or just another Uncharted character from the Uncharted universe, I really do think that it would be alright. Like, it wouldn't take away from the first 4 Uncharteds with Nathan Drake. And a lot of people were just like, I don't know if, the whole Chloe and Nadine thing will work. It really does work. And whenever you're playing through it, you don't really have that feeling of, it's not Nathan Drake. And as it's placed in the series, it doesn't really feel like the odd one out. And they really could continue from there. And it really does just leave the series in a good place where they could do whatever the heck they wanted to. And to be honest, I think I'd be happy with pretty much anything they could come up with. But, I mean, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, it is an amazing game. Really did surprise me in a lot of places. Like, beat my expectations into the ground. And I see that this video is getting to be about 15 minutes, so I will wrap it up here. But it is amazing. I think I would give, as a final score, probably a 9 out of 10. And just simply because it was a little short, but I can't really blame Naughty Dog for doing that since they only had about like a year to develop it. But overall, I mean, It was an amazing game, and I would give it a 9 out of 10. You must get this game. And if you can't get it, watch a walkthrough of it, but it is absolutely amazing. Sorry about this video being super random and coming from nowhere, but, I mean, I've always loved Uncharted, and whenever The Lost Legacy came out, I played through it, and I thought it was amazing. I thought, you know, I might as well just make a review of it to give my opinion on it. But maybe I'll make another video, kind of like what Robin Gaming does, where he does, like, he goes over specific events with spoilers and all, and just kind of talks about it, his opinions on everything. I might do a video like that, because I absolutely love Uncharted, and I think that'd be pretty fun to do. But yeah, you must get this game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.